Hi, my name is Blair and welcome back to my channel Brightest Blaze, where I share mostly plant-based recipes that are high in protein and fiber and packed with flavor. In this video, I'm covering 4 different plant-based dinner recipes that you can enjoy from the transition to summer to fall and into fall. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. I'm trying to grow. Okay, so for the first dinner option, this is a quick, high protein, high veg salad. I'm starting with leafy greens. I normally don't use pre-made salad dressing, not anything against it. I just prefer to use the ingredients I have at home. All of my dressings have the same balance. I use an oil, I use an acid in the form of vinegar or lemon, and then I season with whatever other seasonings I want to use. So today that was nutritional yeast and salt. And then I just mix it up and I put on gloves because the vinegar for sensitive skin can sometimes irritate your hands, and so can the seasoning. So I use gloves when I mix it. You can just mix it with some tongs. Okay, next I am going to create all the toppings. So I really enjoy a good hefty salad, especially if I'm doing this for a meal. And it normally has varying textures and flavors. I season everything a little differently and cook them all a little differently. So for this one, it's gonna be cubed crispy tofu that's like cheesy nutritional yeast and like lemon flavors, and then crispy broccoli and white rice that I season. And this is like day-old rice here, which is perfect for something like this. I wouldn't use freshly cooked rice for this, for crispy rice, because it doesn't crisp as well. So I'm adding garlic powder, paprika to the broccoli and nutritional yeast, and then a little bit of olive oil to help it crisp. Now, as a warning, you see me use a lot of olive oil in my cooking, and I love olive oil. It's one of the healthier oils. In order to retain its health benefits, you don't want to cook it too hot. So make sure you cook it on the oven at below 375, or on the stove. Don't cook it on high for very long, if at all. I normally cook medium to low to get everything crisp up. Okay, for the tofu, I did a salt soak to make sure it gets extra crispy in the air fryer, and I topped it with nutritional yeast, black pepper, and a little bit of salt. I like to season all the components of my meals separately and salt them separately and taste them individually to make sure the whole meal is cohesive and flavored well, so there's not any gaps in the flavor profiles when I'm eating the final dish. The salad is refreshing, it's delicious. And then for fall, this one leans more summer. For fall, you could do a crispy greens instead of the leafy salad greens. So you can toss some kale in the oven, or chard or mustard green. Cook it in the oven and get it a little crisp for fall. And that would also be a really delicious meal here. Okay, for this next meal, I made a delicious high veg, creamy oat-based curry. So first you see me starting off with some dinosaur kale. I'm just chopping this really thin so that it cooks down quickly and easily. Then I slice up, so I have and slice this zucchini. I don't use the whole zucchini. I think I used half a zucchini. This can be one meal if you're really hungry, but it can also be served 2 people. So it just depends on how you're feeling that day. But because most of the ingredients here is just high veggie, you won't have to worry about overeating on the sauce as much. So first I get my pot ready. You see I do not salt soak the tofu every time. This time I just decided to let it crisp up slowly on the stove. So that's what I'm doing here. I'm adding some olive oil and letting it crisp up. And then I'm gonna make the creamy, savory oat cream that I'm gonna add into this curry. I like using oat because as it cooks, it does get a little thicker. So you see me add nutritional yeast and some miso for some umami flavors to this cream, and then I strain it. I could have done this in my nut milk maker. I just felt like I didn't feel like using it this day. So I used my blender really quickly and strained it. And that's the consistency of the milk. It's smooth and it'll thicken up as it cooks. Finally, I'm chopping up one of these delicious tomatoes. It's probably some of the last tomatoes of the season. So I'm using as much as I can before I have to switch over to the canned stuff. And then I add the zucchini and the kale to the pot to cook down after the tofu gets a little color. So while I'm chopping up the rest of the vegetables and creating the oat cream, the tofu was going in the background on low. Remember, I'm using olive oil, low to medium. And then I salt. I hold off on salting until the end of the browning part because salt draws out liquids. Now, before I add in the other vegetables you saw me chop, I'm adding in some aromatics. Those are cumin seeds and coriander seeds. Now, some people really don't like eating these seeds in their foods. I don't mind it as long as it's in moderation, but you could also grind this up. I don't normally take the time to do that. I just let those seeds cook until they smell delicious. Add in the veg, add the salt, and then I let it sauce up with the tomato. Whenever you add in tomato, just expect the sauce to start saucing. So if you want a crisp texture, don't add the tomatoes until after you get the crispiness on the rest of the ingredients. Finally, I season with some curry powder, some salt, some black pepper, and you notice I salted as I went. This gives you the most control over the flavor profiles of your meal. So taste as you go. Don't be afraid to salt a little bit here and a little bit there so everything is evenly seasoned. Finally, you see me cooking all of this down. I wait till the green of the kale to get like more vibrant. I deglaze the pot with a white wine vinegar and I cook it down, and then you'll see me add in the cream. And I just let the cream cook in and thicken up, and then it's all done. Serve this with whatever grain you choose. On this day I chose a basmati white rice, and I did that because it feels like it's a perfect match for like a curry based sauce. So that's what I did. If you wanted to, you could have replaced the tofu with lentils or anything like that, but obviously everything is up to your preference. You're the cook in the kitchen, you know. I really enjoyed this delicious, warm, and savory curry. It was a perfect addition to this rice. Okay, so for this third meal, it is a stir-fried gochujang mushroom and veggie sauce with a garlic herb fresh pasta. You don't need to have fresh pasta for this recipe. You can use the box recipe. You can make it from scratch. And then add extra garlic and herbs to your sauce. But I really enjoyed this combination. I gave this fresh pasta a try from the store. Okay, so you see me here. I'm chopping up all my mushrooms. I typically always start my sauce with the aromatics and the umami. So you see me here adding mushrooms. I let this brown up with some olive oil. And then you see me add whatever else I want to brown alongside of this. So that was the zucchini. I kept the tomatoes fresh. Forgot to show you me cooking the pasta, but this was so flavor packed. with the gochujang seasoning. Okay, last but not least, this is a cornmeal based flatbread topped with a black bean chili and veggies that I oven roasted. So this was very full of Southwest like Mexican pizza flavors. Obviously this recipe was plant-based. You could add some vegan cheese on top of this if you choose. I didn't have any in my fridge, so this was delicious as is. And I did use some sriracha as well to top this off. So you see me here, I'm making a quick flatbread crust, which is 1 part cornmeal, 1 part self-rising flour. I used about 1/2 cup each, and then 1/2 cup of water with about 2 tablespoons of olive oil. And then I knead the dough a little bit until it comes together, and I let it rest in this small ball while I prepare the other ingredients. And I let it rest in order to encourage whatever gluten in the flour to develop, so I get a great like bready texture that's not too stiff and doesn't turn into a cracker. So next I'm chopping the other toppings. I start with this tomato. You'll see me chop up some zucchini, some black olives, and then I move on to my sauce. After letting my dough rest, you see me here, I'm rolling it out so that it's nice and flat, and I can roast it in the oven a little bit as is and let it get a little crispy on the bottom. So I'm just rolling this out into a circular-ish shape. One of my biggest struggles in the kitchen when making these flatbreads is trying to make something that's circular, that doesn't look too crazy. This one turned out just fine. So you'll see me, I'll just add it to a pan here. And this will wait here and for the toppings before it goes in the oven. Okay, here we are with the sauce. These are plain unseasoned black beans. I added some sriracha chili sauce and some Cajun seasoning, the Slap Your Mama brand. And then this is a whipped blended tofu cream that I made earlier this week. So I just added it for a little bit of cream. Now the seasonings I used had plenty of salt, which is why you don't see me add additional salt to this. I just blended this up and added it as the base to my flatbread here. After I add the sauce as the base, I top with all my veggies, the tomato, the zucchini, the black olives, and then I finish with the rest of my black bean sauce. I really hate a dry flatbread or pizza, so you see me, I'm always generous with the sauce. I'm obsessed with a good sauce. You'll see me make tons and tons of different plant-based sauces on this channel, so keep your eyes peeled and your notebooks ready for some good sauce ideas that add in flavor to your plant-based cooking. Prefer a crispier texture on top, you can try broiling this on high for like a minute, not long at all. It'll help brown the top and get it a little crispier. But I didn't do that this time, and it was still perfectly delicious and crispy on the bottom. After roasting this in the oven until all brown and crispy, you see me topping with some garlic powder and some more of the sriracha chili sauce. And then it's ready to eat. You can plate. This was flavorful, borrowing a lot from those Southwest like flavors, not Mexican, but like it was packed full with lots and lots of seasoning and high in veggie. So I really enjoyed it. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe.